Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the Sunday garden question and answer video that I've been doing most of the Sundays of every month. The first Sunday of every month is a subscriber Sunday video where subscribers send in photos of things in their yard that they're proud of. If you want to send in photos for that, the email address is right here. That one was last week, so we'll have several question and answer videos here for the next few weeks. You can leave questions at the bottom of this video in the under the description if you have gardening questions you'd like for me to try and answer. Thanks again to everyone who came out to my events that I did over the last few weeks. Was super hot at several of them, so that was a bit challenging. Who knew if you scheduled a talk in October that it could be 99 degrees on that day? So you know, that happens, but I did enjoy meeting the folks who were able to come out to those events, so thank you very much for that. Then I was down at the Gulf Coast for most of the week, and then I cut a trip a little bit short because my house is, this house is actually under contract already, and so, you know, that happened very quickly. So I have a few things to do here to wrap this up. But anyway, let's get started on the questions from the video 2 weeks ago. And again, ask any questions you have at the bottom of this, and I will try to answer them. Sometimes I know them, sometimes I know the answers, sometimes I don't. Okay, one of the questions I got was planting oleander on a foundation and whether it would hurt the foundation. I doubt very seriously oleander would hurt the foundation. I also don't know that it's necessarily a great foundation plant. They can get, you know, most of the varieties. There are some smaller growing varieties, but I don't. This was also whether in 7B, okay, in zone 7B. Oleander is a zone 8 to 10 plant, but it will grow in 7B in protected spaces like a foundation. The dwarf varieties may not be as hardy. I have no idea about the hardiness difference in the dwarf plants versus the full-size plants, but you know, they kind of become tree-like. Oleander is if you've ever been down to coastal areas and around the Gulf and around North Carolina and South, they plant them all over the coastal areas. It's a flowering shrub, blooms all summer long. It's highly poisonous, just you know, letting you know that as well. I don't think anybody will ever eat it. I usually don't worry about those things. People freak out on some of my videos. It's poisonous, it's poisonous. Well, don't eat it, is my answer. I mean, rarely do those kinds of things get eaten, but oleander is particularly considered, you know, poisonous. It's, you know, it's always, if you go to any page about oleander on the internet, it's the first thing it's going to say. So keep that in mind. And number two, like I say, they do kind of become naked at the bottom and tree-like. I don't know that it's a great choice for a foundation, especially in 7B. Okay, and then they asked me about using permatil as a soil amendment, and I sold permatil for a long time. It's like a blown up lava rock material that you can mix in to amend clay soils, and it's like a permanent way, I guess, to fix some compaction. I don't ever use it. I've sold it for years, and I've, you know, had lots of customers buy it, and I know some people will use it if they have moles or voles. They'll mix it into the soil, and apparently, you know, that helps with them digging around your plants. So maybe if I had a vole issue, maybe I would be using some permatil, but otherwise I just use pine bark soil conditioner, and then I use my mulch from the top to improve the soil, which I've talked about a lot. But permatil is kind of an expensive option if you had a large area to amend. But like I say, if you know, there are some folks that use it just because of they have vole issues. Voles are little field mice that live underground and eat roots on your plants. So that can be frustrating if you have that. So permatil may work for that. Honestly, I've sold it for that for years. Never used it, you know, never done it myself. And so I can't really speak to whether or not that actually works or not. Somebody asked me about a Shad Blow tree. Somebody had been given a Shad Blow. This is one of those interesting common name things that happens in plants. So Shad Blow is a serviceberry. It's a native shrub that grows from probably the North Carolina mountains well up into Canada, most of the eastern and, you know, the Midwest and the northeastern part of the country, and well up into Canada. Serviceberry is a very common native plant. It gets big. It's like a multi-trunk tree almost, but it's a shrub, but it's tree size. Blooms in the spring, gets berries in June. At the same time, the shad run in the north, and that's why it's called a Shad Blow. That's why that gets the common name Shad Blow. This is how you end up with, you know, with a plant name with 5 different common names to it. It's because it's some regional thing, but that's the reason it's called a shad blow in parts of the country. Super easy tree. You just got shrub. It's great. It blooms in the spring, has berries, great for birds, native, all the things you'd want, you know, in a plant, but you got to give it room. That's the only thing I'd tell you. It's got to go in the sun, and you got to give it room, and should be something you can enjoy for a long time. Okay, somebody asked me about fertilizing plants and grass now in the fall. And definitely I don't fertilize shrubs at this time of year, just because I would, especially it's been so abnormally warm, there's some possibility that some of your plants could actually start to try to grow, you know, if you were pushing them right now. So be careful with that. But in terms of your turf, this is a time that people are fertilizing grass. It's very crispy. I just rode all of the southeast. I don't know how many miles I put on in the last 9 days, but all the turf is crispy from North Carolina, and I'm assuming even up into Virginia, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. I don't know that fertilizing your lawn would do a whole lot right now. We need some rain at this point, so you may be wasting your time and energy on turf renovation this fall in the southeast. I've seen people, even folks that are watering their lawns are crispy right now. They're having a hard time re-wetting the soil, honestly. But yes, this is the time of year when people are fertilizing turf. To answer the question, what good it would do you in the southeast right now, I have no idea. We need some rain. I've seen trees dying, you know, along the road while I was riding down to Mobile. I tried to take some photos of it, and then fire engines on the side of the road everywhere. Please, if you smoke or know anybody that smokes, do not throw a cigarette out the window right this minute. Oh my gosh, there was burn marks. You know, the whole my whole ride through the state of Alabama was, you know, every few miles somebody had thrown a cigarette out the window and started a fire. So don't do that. Let's see. Somebody asked me about putting mulch at the bottom of the container so they didn't have to use so much potting soil. They were repotting something, a Japanese maple or something that they were going to leave outside for the winter. Don't use mulch, like hardwood mulch or anything at the bottom of that pot. It will stay too wet and cause you problems. Gravel is a good choice. Anything chunky. Pine bark mulch would be okay. Pine bark is something you could use. You could use pine bark mini nuggets or pine bark nuggets. That would definitely work. It'd also make the pot a little lighter too, so you could move it around. So pine bark or gravel would be two good choices to create a reservoir at the bottom of the pot where you're not having to spend so much money on potting soil, but wouldn't drown the plant. But hardwood mulch would definitely, could potentially cause you problems. Okay, somebody asked me about trimming hydrangeas. That's a tough question, and I have a video on my channel about all the different types of hydrangeas, and I do talk about when to prune them in that video. Some hydrangeas bloom on old growth. Those are your big leaf hydrangeas, the French hydrangeas or mop-head hydrangeas. That's another one that has too many common names. Those are going to bloom on, the flower buds are already set right now, so you can't prune those until after they bloom. So you need to know what hydrangea you have. The white wedding hydrangeas that I've shown many times are limelight, ones that you guys will be familiar with. Hydrangea paniculatas, Annabelle hydrangeas, Hydrangea arborescens. Those are ones that bloom on new growth, and they can be pruned in the winter time or late winter. Neither one of them you would prune right now, but you can prune. There's a couple of them that you can prune right at the end of winter and would be beneficial. That's Hydrangea paniculatas and Hydrangea arborescens. All the other ones you need to prune after they bloom. So that would be oak leaf hydrangeas, big leaf hydrangeas, and climbing hydrangeas if you ever needed to prune those. And I'm probably missing something there, but hydrangeas are complicated. To answer the question, honestly, you need to know what kind of hydrangea you have. You need to know whether it blooms on old wood or new wood. I have a video for that that may help you match up the one you have. And it's just search hydrangeas. I'll go to my channel page, HortTube, and then search for hydrangeas. It'll be one of the videos there. Okay, the last one for this week is somebody asked me about Heuchera in the full sun in zone 7B. Some of the Heuchera tags, or Heucherella or Tiarella tags, this is a little shade perennial. Gets little flower spikes. The flowers aren't necessarily the most impressive things, but the foliage on all the Heucheras and Heucherellas and Tiarellas are typically variegated, burgundy colors, green colors, interesting spotting, and beautiful, beautiful plants. But they're shade-loving plants in the southeast, or at least part shade-loving plants in the southeast. You'll get tags that say full sun because they're so cold hardy that up in zone 5, you know, they will take a lot more sun. That's a complicated thing if you're making a generic tag for a plant that has a very wide range. But typically in the southeast, you're going to need a little bit of shade on them, and then they don't like wet feet at all. And so if you put them in part shade in the southeast, typically that's going to end up in an area that's kind of moist. So what I've done, the best looking ones I have in my yard are on a bit of a slope in part shade, and they're right here, over here by my sidewalk. They're the best ones, and they grew like crazy this year, but they're on a spot that sheds the water away a little bit in the part shade. That's the best place in the southeast to grow Heuchera. So that's all the questions I had from the video from 2 weeks ago. Again, ask questions at the bottom of this one, and if I don't get enough, I'll go back and look and find some older ones that I have missed, or, you know, had so many that I couldn't answer them all in a week. So again, this video will be again next Sunday. Thank you very much for watching this video. There's a ton of videos coming this week. I shot a lot more in Mobile. I said it in last week's video that I have a lot of videos, and so you'll see a lot of content coming up, and then you'll start seeing videos from the new place within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So thank you very much for watching.